think I've always been in some group of male friends, and there's sort of this like unspoken hierarchy play going on of, you know, who is the most important and who has the power, and who's sort of playing second fiddle, and who's competing for advancement, you know. And I think typically, I feel like that kind of thing has been explored, like in Mean Girls for women, but I wanted to make Mean Boys.
That's such a better name.
I wanted to make Mean Boys, and this is the cast that plays them. Regina George is definitely Archie, who plays Oliver. Oh, you said in real life. The answer is the same. In the movie, it's definitely Oliver, played by Archie, and in real life, it's definitely Archie.
That's not true.
As Archie.
No, that's not true.
Oh, look at him
I'm
pouting.
Katie, coming in fresh.
Caddy.
Caddy.
I feel like Archie would tell somebody that they can't sit with us.
No, I never.
I don't think he would.
He wouldn't have to.
You wouldn't have to. Somebody would say it for you, I think.
He would just give a little look.
That is such an untrue description of who I am. And you know that. That is so mean.
You are very polite.
I'm from Atlanta, so it's the same thing there. You're all in like packs of rappers, and it's like who's the leader here? Who's B? Who's C? So yeah.
Here.
I felt like that in elementary school. I haven't really in my adult life, but
Thank God.
for sure, while shooting the movie, I was like, this feels like when I was 10. Those power dynamics of like you're friends, but then one day you're not going to be the friend. You're going to be the one that's on the outside. This kind of possibility of always being put aside, ridiculed, but then kind of brought back in, feels very... Yeah, my experience with it was really when I was a kid.
Yeah, but that has continued in certain dynamics, especially I think in the art industry. I have found in adult life, especially I think in like I went to drama school, and there's this constant kind of competitive nature I think that some people can have, and there's a feeling of that, of like wanting to be seen, and who's doing good work and who's exciting, and Oliver in our film kind of rules that, and everyone is kind of floating around him trying to impress, and that dynamic I think that we learn as kids, that it starts in school, it continues in different spaces, and I think maybe we're not as conscious of it always, because we start putting ourselves in pecking orders, and we sometimes feel quite comfortable in that position, and so we're not always aware of the dynamic as it's playing out around us. But it was really interesting for me, even though these people have described me as Regina George, I that's not how I feel in my day-to-day life, and I found it really difficult and for me, a real challenge to have to play someone so outwardly confident in their position in the group. It's so much easier to play someone so much more introverted and insular. I think you just want to kind of disguise yourself. So to play someone who is so self-assured in that pecking order was fun.
I think that there's an interesting complicating factor though in this film, which is fame, which I think makes all of these dynamics that you experience when you're younger, it's just another lens to look at the same thing, but in a way that you can name more easily. It's like popularity, all of these power dynamics, it's brought into another scale that I think is ridiculed as well.
It's kind of removed from now, so it's not in the like TikTok generation where we live in, where everyone is so close to wanting fame, and it feels so accessible and it feels so quick. But we did grow up in that time where you were able to look on Tumblr and see people that you felt cool and but also felt touchable and felt realistic, and so the idea of then coming into contact with those people and feeling like it was in grasp, that is our currency now, weirdly. No one really wants to work. People want to be famous. There's the line in the film where it's like, how do I get like you? Like, what do you do? And he can't even answer. It's just people just want to be famous. People are just stoked about the idea of being liked and being known. And yeah, I think the film plays with that in a really interesting way.
Something I'm asking everybody who comes in is if you remember the first time you were starstruck.
2016, I was with the homie Thundercat, and we went to Asanebo in North Hollywood. I had like $10. I think I was wearing like Toms or something like that. Super broke. I'm the brokest person in all of LA, right? He take me to this restaurant. We with 2 members of the band King. They were like Prince's like proteges, pretty much. So it's 4 of us, right? So we chilling there. The restaurant about the size of where we at right now. Only like 20 people in there max. I see 2 Secret Service looking dudes with the wire in their ear pop in behind us. And I'm like, oh shit, Obama, right? Jay-Z walk in, right? They sit him at the table right behind us. This restaurant's like a closet, you know what I'm saying? And then I was like, oh shit, it's crazy. Like Jay-Z's behind us. And then 2 more Secret Service guys walk in, and Beyonce came in. And then she came over to the table, and she knows Thundercat or whatever, so she was like, you know, bigging him up on his work. And she said to our homegirl, I love your hair. And she just busted out, started crying.
Mine is also
like somebody died. She's like, it's crazy.
That's so real. Beyonce held my hands and sang Halo.
What?
Sorry to top, but
Damn.
Regina. Okay, Regina.
exactly.
Regina.
A friend of mine rigged a competition so that she was a radio presenter, and she rigged a competition so me and my sisters won tickets to her album launch. So it was like a really intimate thing. So we were like right at the front, and I'm sort of tall.
Well, Beyonce kissed my dad.
And she came to the front, and like she kept singing to me, and then she like came down, like held my hands, and then I just remember her body. I was like frozen in time. I was like, like I felt like the power of, I don't know, eternal life was being like given to me. And then I didn't want to let go, and her bodyguard came over and just went chop my arm away. I was like, cool, done. But yeah, that was pretty big.
But I do think that that's a big part of the film as well, is like how we view celebrity and people who are like, what position do we give them?
Totally.
And there's like this space of, they really, for a lot of people, become like godlike figure. And I think that in this film, for Matthew, there is a big aspect of that, of there is nothing above that. And that's why it's so incredible and like a one-time opportunity that you can't miss and that you have to go all the way with, because that will never happen again. It's too big to enter that world in that way, to have such access to, to someone who is truly viewed like a god. So it's I think they're really kind of taking the place of religion.
It has in our like very like, people have their own personal religions, but in our general society, it's a lot less God focused than it has been back in the day. And so where
Let's go back.
People let's go back. Out of lives back with the deities.
I mean, like,
but
Nicki Minaj has her own defamation league. Like, it's like she
pretty-
is. Yeah. Oh my God.
But right, like icons,
I'd
like
rather
that,
go up
that
against a
word
whole
is
nation
really,
than the
it's
bars.
not for nothing, like an icon. It comes from religious figures, right?
Totally.
It's also so interesting to think about what people think they will be getting out of proximity to that person.
Well, you could get nothing.
Right, it's like Icarus and the sun a bit.
Totally,
Too, right?
it
It's
is.
like
But
this-
that's exactly what this film is also. Like, he really kind of gets disillusioned being in such proximity. Like, it's like, oh, it's really not that complicated. I understand the mechanisms of this, and I understand that everyone around you, they're not angels. They're just people kind of putting you and protecting you to stay on that level. Yeah.
I feel like it's like that part in the Bible where somebody was like, I forget who said it, but they was like talking about Jesus.
Was it
They was
God?
like, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, like, dang, you need to stand up. Like, if I could just touch his drip, like, that's crazy.